This is the LZR Project, an episodic story series by David and Alderman. The LZR Project takes place within David's Expired Reality universe and serves as a prequel to the main novels in his Expired Reality series. You can find out more about David's Expired Reality series at davidandalderman.com. Episode number 22. Thursday, May 7th, 1998. "What do you have against my last name?" David Corbin asked. Veronica Amorou smiled devilishly. "Nothing. What do you have against mine?" "Nothing," he said. "But when two people get married, the woman takes the man's last name." "Not always," she remarked as she cast a quick glance out the cab window. Hotel buildings zipped past them, signaling that they were closing in on their destination. "This time," he said. "No," she said. "I keep my last name. Solaris. I like it." "Ray," he corrected. "Solaris," she insisted. "I am an independent woman, Mr. Ray. You won't be able to convince me to change my last name. Not now, not ever." David huffed as the taxicab stopped in front of the Twin Groves Hotel in downtown Lysalis. David paid the driver as he and Veronica both exited the cab. Veronica smoothed out her sapphire blue dress, while David made sure his black dress shirt was firmly tucked into his black slacks. They entered the building, passed the concierge at the lobby counter, and went straight to the elevator. As the doors shut, Veronica steadied her nerves and glanced down at the black briefcase in David's hands. He noticed her gaze and lifted the case. "This is a lot of credits. I hope it's enough to outbid the others." "I'm more concerned with us keeping our cover," she said. "What if they recognize me or you?" David shrugged. "Then things will get interesting." He reached to his back pocket and patted his boomerang. "We're ready for a fight, though." Veronica nodded, although after her fight with XS, she felt somewhat helpless without her scion blades. She fidgeted with her fake wedding ring, an arbitrary item that was stirring certain emotions within her. The faint feelings she had slowly developed for David over the years were starting to make their presence known, and she didn't like them. "Just follow my lead," David said. "We'll hand over the money, we'll get the weapons, and then we'll get out of here before anyone knows what happened." Veronica nodded. "I hope so. It's going to be hard playing the part of criminals." "Not really," David said. She wanted him to elaborate on that, but he didn't. Instead, he stared straight ahead at the elevator doors and said nothing. When they reached their floor, the doors opened and they both stepped into the hallway. "This way," David said, pointing to their left. They started down a long corridor, both of them sticking close to one another. When they reached the end of the hallway, David pulled a small keycard from his pants pocket and slid it into the card panel on the door of room 5990. The panel beeped and they both entered the room. Darkness greeted them, as did the scent of garlic bread. Veronica grabbed onto David's arm and he pulled her close. A light flickered on above them and a tall male figure in a black suit came into view, most of his figure, including his face, enveloped in shadows. The rest of the room vanished into darkness. "Names?" the man demanded. "Clark Ray and Anastasia Solaris," David answered. "Criminals from the underbelly of Lysalis. I wouldn't expect anything less. Credits?" David held the briefcase out in front of him. The man took the case and set it near an empty, red flower vase on a small table between them. He flipped the latches of the case open, glanced inside, and then shut it. "Interesting." "What's that?" David asked. Veronica caught herself biting her lip. She felt incredibly defenseless without her blades, without her ankle knife, without anything. Aside from David's boomerang, they had only each other's hand-to-hand fighting skills to rely on, and maybe Ridley's support if they called in for emergency assistance. 500,000 credits, the man stated. "Yes," David said. "We aim to outbid whoever else is trying to purchase 574. 500,000 credits, the man repeated. "Marked credits." Veronica sensed David tense up next to her. "Marked credits?" he asked, his voice betraying nothing of the worry Veronica knew he was feeling. "You think me a fool?" the man asked. "We don't," David replied. "We were not aware the credits were marked. We can get more from another source if need be." "You think my time is that worthless? The two of you will pay for your naivety." The man stepped back into the darkness of the room and disappeared. Veronica's breath quickened. She spread her legs slightly, readying for the inevitable fight. "Where is our suitcase?" she asked, trying to buy some time. David slipped the boomerang from his pocket and held it firmly in his right hand. "Get ready," he whispered. Something swept out of the shadows and slammed into Veronica's chest, knocking her back against the door of the hotel room. Her head crashed into the wood surface, and then she fell to the carpeted flooring in a daze. Grabbing the door handle, she pulled herself to her feet. She heard David wrestling with someone in the shadows. He tumbled from the darkness and rolled across the carpet before stopping at Veronica's feet. She helped him up. "Lost my boomerang," he huffed. A dark blur flew out of the shadows, slamming into both of them, knocking them both against the door. Veronica bounced back and wrapped her arms around their assailant, a female dressed in a black one-piece outfit that covered her body from head to toe. Veronica wrapped her arm around the woman's neck and squeezed, hoping to choke her unconscious. David recovered and moved to take hold of their attacker, but the woman kicked David in the stomach and he stumbled back into the shadows. At the same time, she shoved her back into Veronica's chest and forced her into the door again before slamming the back of her head into Veronica's face. Veronica's head crashed against the door with a loud crack, and she felt blood run from her nose. She mustered her strength and shoved the woman away to give herself space. Veronica then slid off one of her shoes and thrust the sharp heel into the woman's chest. The shoe bounced off the black cloth of the outfit as if it were made of pure rubber. Veronica swung the heel across the woman's face and sliced a thin piece of fabric from the mask itself. A section of the woman's unpainted lips could be seen through the opening. The woman lunged forward and tackled Veronica to the floor. Veronica brought her knee up and used it to catapult the woman over her head. Veronica rolled to her feet and caught her breath while she watched the stranger rise to her feet. She's getting tired, Veronica told herself. She probably won't make it past a few more rounds. The woman stood with her back to Veronica for a moment, her shoulders rising and falling with each deep breath that she attempted to inhale and exhale. "You are good." Veronica didn't recognize a voice, as haggard as it was now. She could tell this woman hadn't fought in a while. Then again, she hadn't been all that up to par herself either. "I know." The black-clad assailant thrust her leg toward Veronica. Veronica grabbed her ankle and spun it away from her with all of her strength. The woman used the wall to keep her balance as she spun back in the other direction. Her foot made impact with Veronica's head as a loud crack brought a rush of pain to Veronica's skull. The room spun as she stumbled to the carpet. Through her blurred vision and aching head, Veronica watched David leap out of the shadows and lunge at the woman, his right fist in a straight trajectory for the woman's head. At the last minute, the woman grabbed David by the hair and redirected him toward the door. David bounced back from the door and clotheslined the woman in the neck, knocking her on her back. The woman then swept her leg into David's ankle, sending him to the floor. Before he could recover, she recoiled from the floor and pounced on David. 3 punches to his face knocked him unconscious. The ache in Veronica's head threatened to swallow her whole. She closed her eyes and took a few deep breaths to stay conscious. She attempted to lift herself up with her arms, but fell to the floor, too weak to move. Her eyes fluttered, but she fought to keep them open. "I can't let David down. I can't. He's all I have." The man in the black suit stepped into the light again. "Are you quite finished?" he asked. The woman in the black outfit bent forward, breathing hard. "I didn't see you lifting a finger to help." He slid the black briefcase across the carpet toward her. "Take the credits with you. I don't want that marked paper anywhere near me." She kicked the briefcase back to him. "I don't want this." "Damn it, get that away from me!" He kicked the case as it slid past the woman and hit the bottom of the door. The woman picked up the case and huffed. "Fine, I will take care of it." "I know you will." She motioned to David and Veronica. "What about them?" "They are all part of the plan. Why do you think you were hired? I couldn't have handled them on my own." "You didn't handle them at all," the woman remarked. "Feeble old man. You should hang up your hat and retire." "You're one to talk. The great and mighty Shadow running out of breath while fighting a couple of teenagers? Pathetic." "I haven't done this in a while." The man vanished into the darkness of the room and returned a few seconds later with a silver metal box. "You'll want to get out of the building as quickly as you can." "What is that?" "Leave," he said. The woman opened the door and left. The man set the silver box on the table next to the flower vase. "I know you're with me, Veronica. You've always been tougher than you look. But for all of your toughness, you won't be able to contend with this." He pressed a few buttons around the box, causing beeps and bloops to emanate from the container. "Do your best to die with dignity, will you?" He left the box and disappeared into the shadows. Veronica felt the world make a grand attempt to slip away from her. She rolled onto her back and moved her hand to reach for David, intent on grabbing a cell phone to call in the cavalry. Her fingers found nothing but carpet, and so she allowed the world to slip away into darkness. Thank you for listening to the LZR Project. If you are interested in reading more of David's Expired Reality series, please check out the author's webpage at davidnalderman.com.